Hey guys, Barky back with part 2 of the paranormal entity and phenomenon Iceberg. So strap in, grab yourself a Coke Zero, and enjoy. Also, don't forget to subscribe. I'm trying to reach 15k by the end of the year. Alright, let's get right into it. Funayure. Funayure is a term from Japanese folklore that refers to vengeful spirits of those who have died at sea or due to shipwrecks. The word is a combination of funa, meaning ship or boat, and yurei, meaning ghost or spirit. Funayure are considered a specific type of yurei associated with maritime tragedies. The spirits may harbor feelings of resentment, anger, or desire for revenge due to circumstances of their death. They are portrayed as pale, ghostly figures dressed in white burial kimono. Their long, disheveled hair covers their faces, and they may exhibit physical traits associated with their cause of death, such as waterlogged or damaged features. They haunt maritime locations like shores, beaches, and open waters. They may also appear near vessels. In some stories, they're associated with lights or lanterns that appear over the water. These lights are often considered ominous and are said to lead sailors astray or to their doom. Grasu. Grasu is a mythical creature in Thai and Southeast Asian folklore known for its distinctive and eerie appearance. It is often considered a type of ghost or supernatural being with certain vampiric qualities. The Grasu is typically described as a female spirit with floating head and internal organs hanging down from the neck. The disembodied head is said to have sharp fangs, a long tongue, and glowing eyes. The internal organs, which may include the digestive tract, heart, and entrails, are often depicted as luminescent and emitting a soft light. They're believed to be nocturnal. It is said to roam silently, flying through the air in search of food. The Grasu is often associated with a preference for consuming various substances, such as raw flesh, blood, or household items. In some versions of the legend, it is believed to feed on newborns or young children. The creature is often linked to stories of curses, particularly those involving individuals practicing dark magic or witchcraft in their past lives. One of the common themes in Grasu folklore is its ability to transform back into a normal-looking person during the daytime. This transformation allows the Grasu to hide its supernatural nature and blend in with the community. Aakashi. Aakashi is a term in Japanese folklore and language that can have different meanings depending on the context. In traditional Japanese folklore, Aakashi can be used to refer to supernatural entities, strange occurrences, or mysterious phenomena. It is a broad term that encompasses various supernatural beings, including ghosts, spirits, or other mysterious creatures. Aakashi can also be used to convey the sense of danger or warning. It is an expression that suggests caution or the potential for harm. For example, if someone says the situation is Aakashi, they are indicating it might be precarious or unsafe. Aakashi Samurai Horror Tales is an animated television series that adapts classic Japanese horror stories. It consists of 3 arcs: Yotsuya Kaiden, Tenshu Monogatari, and Bakeneko. The series explores supernatural themes, and each arc presents different tales of horror and suspense. The success of Aakashi Samurai Horror Tales led to the creation of a spin-off series called Mononoke. The series follows a medicine seller, a mysterious traveler who exorcises malevolent spirits known as Mononoke. While not a direct continuation, Mononoke retains the supernatural and eerie themes introduced in Aakashi. Gashadokuro. Gashadokuro is a mythical creature in Japanese folklore, often referred to as a giant skeleton or skeletal spirit. The word Gashadokuro is derived from the Japanese words gasha, meaning rattling or clattering, and dokoro, meaning skeleton. Gashadokuro is sometimes known as odokoro as well. It's said to be formed from the accumulation of the bones of people who died of starvation in battle without proper burial rites. The legend suggests that these vengeful spirits come together to form a colossal skeleton that roams in the night. Its height reaches about 15 times that of an average person. The skeleton may lack certain bones, emphasizing its incomplete and eerie nature. It is often associated with rural areas, graveyards, and places where mass deaths occurred. The creature is particularly known for its stealth, as it can sneak up on unsuspecting individuals due to its quiet movements. The name Gashadokuro is derived from the sound it supposedly makes, with its bones rattling or clattering as it moves. Some versions of the folklore mention that if you hear the sound, it may already be too late, as the Gashadokuro is close by. It has a gruesome appetite for humans. In some legends, it may reach down and snatch individuals to consume them. The creature's motives are often associated with vengeance, for those who died without proper burial rites. Jalang Kong. Jalang Kong is an Indonesian ritual and traditional game associated with summoning spirits. It involves the use of a doll or effigy, typically made from wood or bamboo, to communicate with supernatural. The term Jalang Kong is derived from Javanese, one of the major ethnic groups in Indonesia. To play the game, the participants gather in a dimly lit or dark room, creating an atmosphere conducive to the summoning of spirits. The participants gather around the Jalang Kong doll and conduct a ritual to invoke the spirits. This may involve chanting, calling out to the spirits, or performing specific actions to attract supernatural entities. The doll may move, make sounds, or exhibit other signs of supernatural activity indicating the presence of spirits. The participants ask questions seeking answers from the spirits through the movements or actions of the doll, and the responses are interpreted as messages from the spirit world. Suuk. Suuk refers to the traditional Malayan Indonesian charm or amulet that is believed to have mystical powers. These small, unusually needle-like items are made from various metals, such as gold, silver, and other precious metals, and they are inserted under the skin for spiritual or cosmetic purposes. It may be placed in various areas of the body, such as the forehead, cheeks, or collarbone. The process is often performed by a traditional healer or practitioner who is skilled in the art of Suuk insertion. One of the primary purposes of Suuk is to enhance physical beauty. It is believed that wearing Suuk can make a person more attractive, alluring, charismatic. It's also thought to possess mystical properties that go beyond mere cosmetic enhancement. It's believed to bring good fortune, protect against negative energies, and even influence the behavior or feelings of others. The choice of material of the Suuk may be associated with specific properties. For example, the gold Suuk is often believed to bring wealth, while silver Suuk is associated with protection. Proli. Proli is a mythical creature in Romanian folklore, particularly in the regions of Transylvania and Wallachia. The term Proli is derived from the word prikol, meaning stake or pole, and is often associated with the werewolf-like beings. The Proli is said to be a creature that transforms from a human into a wolf, or a hybrid wolf-human, during certain nights or under specific circumstances. The transformation is often associated with the full moon or other supernatural events. In many legends, the Proli is portrayed as someone who is cursed or afflicted, leading to their transformation into a wolf-like creature. The curse is sometimes linked to immoral or wicked behavior during their human life. When in wolf form, the Proli is said to exhibit aggressive and predatory behavior. It may roam the countryside, attacking livestock or even humans. The Brown Lady of Raynham Hall. The Brown Lady of Raynham Hall is one of the most famous ghost stories in English folklore, and it centers around Raynham Hall, an estate in Norfolk, England. The tale is associated with a photograph taken in September 1936 by Captain Hubert C. Provend and Indra Sira, two photographers from Country Life magazine, who were at the hall to capture images for an article. According to the legend, the ghost is believed to be Lady Dorothy Walpole, the wife of Charles Townshend, who lived in the 18th century. Lady Dorothy was the sister of Robert Walpole, the first Prime Minister of Great Britain. The story goes that she had an affair and was caught by her husband. As punishment, she was reportedly confined to her room in Raynham Hall for the rest of her life. The famous photograph captured by Provend and Shira supposedly shows the ghostly figure of a woman descending the staircase. Witnesses who claim to have seen the apparition describe a woman in old-fashioned brown dress, hence the name Brown Lady. The photograph gained widespread attention and is often cited in discussions of paranormal phenomena. Skeptics and believers alike have debated its authenticity and possible explanations. Some argue that the photograph may have been manipulated or that the alleged ghostly image is a result of double exposure. Others claim that the Brown Lady is genuine paranormal phenomenon. Silver Peelin. Silver Peelin, translated as the Silver Arrow, refers to a legendary and mysterious subway train in Stockholm, Sweden. The story of Silver Peelin has become a part of local urban legends, capturing the imaginations of residents and enthusiasts of the paranormal. It's often described as a ghost train, appearing and disappearing mysteriously in the Stockholm subway system. It's a silver-colored train that is distinct from the regular subway trains in both appearance and behavior. The legend tells that the Silver Peelin does not make regular stops at the stations like other trains. Instead, it is believed to appear at certain stations for a short duration, with the doors opening only for those who are destined to ride it. Some versions of the legend claim that the silver Peelin is associated with supernatural or paranormal phenomena. Many accounts for silver Peelin sightings occurred during the late hours of the night when the subway system is less crowded. Some people claim to have seen the ghost train while waiting on the platform or passing through stations during the early morning hours. The Abraham Lincoln Funeral Train. The Abraham Lincoln Funeral Train refers to the train that transported the body of the 16th President of the United States, Abraham Lincoln, from Washington, D.C. to his final resting place in Springfield, Illinois. Following his assassination in April 1865, the funeral train journey took place in April and May of that year and became a solemn and historic event in American history. Following Lincoln's assassination on April 14, 1865, he died the following day on April 15. Plans for the funeral train were quickly organized to transport Lincoln's body from Washington, D.C. back to his hometown of Springfield, Illinois for burial. The route of the train would take it through major towns and cities, allowing people to pay their respects. The funeral train was a heavily adorned, specially constructed rail car that carried Lincoln's casket. The car was draped in mourning and adorned with funeral symbols. The journey included numerous stops along the way, where Lincoln's body lay in state, and the mourners had the opportunity to view the casket. The funeral train completed its journey, arriving in Springfield on May 3, 1865. Lincoln was interred in Oak Ridge Cemetery, where a monument, now known as the Lincoln Tomb, was later erected. Nang Tani. Nang Tani is a mythical ghost in Thai folklore, often described as a female ghost who appears as a floating headless woman. This supernatural entity is associated with Thai ghost stories and is known for haunting certain locations, particularly banyan trees. Nang Tani is often depicted as a woman without a head, with her head said to be carried in her hands or tucked under her arm. In some versions of the story, her head is described as hanging from a strip of flesh. One distinctive characteristic of Nang Tani is her ability to float or glide through the air. She is often associated with locations where banyan trees are present, and it is said that she appears near these trees, especially during the night. She is believed to produce eerie, mournful cries or weeping sounds. The legend tells that the cries can be heard when she is near, serving as a warning for those who encounter her. Wewe Gombell. Wewe Gombell is a mythical figure in Javanese folklore, specifically in Indonesia. The legend of Wewe Gombell is associated with a female ghost or spirit believed to be a caretaker of children. She is described as a tall, slender woman with long hair wearing a white gown. Despite her seemingly normal appearance, she is said to have a hunchback, which is sometimes hidden by her clothing. She is a caretaker of children, said to wander around villages and towns, especially in rural areas, looking for children who have misbehaved or neglected their chores. She kidnaps these children and takes them to a hidden place, and the children are said to never return. Some versions of the story involve Wewe Gombell using tricks or calling out the children, luring them away from their homes. The idea is to emphasize the importance of obedience and not wandering into unknown or unsafe areas. Samka. Samka is a character in Romanian mythology, a very ugly and scary evil spirit. She most commonly takes the appearance of a naked woman with disheveled hair growing down to her heels, small eyes that shine as brightly as the stars, with iron hands and long nails as sharp as knitting needles, or hooked as sickles and a tongue of fire. Other forms Samka can take are a very large and fierce pig, a grinning dog showing awful teeth, a hairless cat with fiery, bulging eyes, a crow with bloody eyes, and a big black spider. In its woman form, this demon has a very large, ugly, and crooked mouth that always spits fire. It can come out at the end of each month, around full moon, and it usually appears to children under the age of 4 who are so frightened that they become sick immediately. The disease children develop after Samka appears to them is called the children's malice. This demon can also appear to women lying on their birth bed. Once visible, she would touch the pregnant woman as if kneading on them, scaring them so much that they either die instantly or remain crippled for life. Samka has 19 names. To defend against her, people need to write all 19 names on the wall of the house, or have to convince someone else to write a protective spell, which they would afterwards carry on them. When attacked, the spell would make Samka harm the writer of the protective spell instead, with the exception that if the writer of the spell was old, Samka would not hurt them, making them just grit their teeth in their sleep. Babi Ngepet. Babi Ngepet is a creature or supernatural being in Indonesian folklore, particularly in Javanese tradition. The term Babi Ngepet translates to pig invoker in English. This folklore is often associated with mystical practices and superstitions. It is said that individuals who engage in Babi Ngepet rituals seek wealth, prosperity, or other personal gains through the use of forbidden or dark magic. The term Ngepet is associated with an activity where the practitioner invokes the spirit of a pig to bring them good fortune or wealth. This often involves rituals, spells, or offerings performed during specific times, such as certain phases of the moon, or other significant dates in the traditional Javanese calendar. Engaging in practices related to the Babi Ngepet is considered taboo and is often associated with negative consequences. It is believed that those who invoke Babi Ngepet may face misfortune, illness, or other calamities as a result of meddling with dark forces. Tanwa. A Tanwa is a mythical creature in Maori mythology, the indigenous Polynesian people of New Zealand. Tanwa are supernatural beings often associated with bodies of water, such as rivers, lakes, and seas. These creatures are considered guardians or protectors of specific places and can be both benevolent and malevolent. They are often described as shapeshifters capable of transforming into various forms, including those of sea creatures, reptiles, or even human-like figures. Maori tradition often emphasizes the importance of treating water sources with respect due to the presence of these supernatural guardians. The nature of a particular Tanwa is influenced by the relationship it has with the people in its vicinity. Jenglot. The Jenglot is a mythical creature or mystical object in Indonesian folklore and is often associated with supernatural beliefs. The term Jenglot is derived from Javanese, and the creature is said to be small and doll-sized and possessed of magical or supernatural powers. It has sharp fangs, long hair, and is said to be preserved in a dried or mummified state. Some stories suggest it was originally a living being transformed into a supernatural creature through mystical practices. Others claim that the Jenglot is created through dark rituals or by supernatural means. Since it's believed to possess magical or supernatural powers, some legends believe it can bring good fortune or serve as a protective charm for its owner. Others associate the Jenglot with dark forces and tell it can be used for malevolent purposes. According to the folklore, owning a Jenglot comes with certain responsibilities. Owners are required to provide offerings, rituals, or care to maintain the creature's supernatural powers and to prevent it from causing harm. Mananangal. The Mananangal is a mythical creature in Philippine folklore, particularly in the Visayan region. It is often described as a female monster or vampire-like being that can detach its upper torso from its lower body to fly at night in search of prey, usually pregnant women. The word Mananangal comes from the Filipino root word tanggal, which means to separate or remove. During the day, the Mananangal appears as a normal woman. However, at night, it undergoes a gruesome transformation. Pregnant women are the preferred victims of the Mananangal. It is believed that the creature consumes the heart or the fetus of the pregnant woman. It may also feed on the blood of sleeping individuals. Various methods are used to ward off or defeat the Mananangal. These may include the use of garlic, salt, holy water, or other items with supernatural properties. Jinn. Jinn are supernatural beings or spirits in Islamic mythology and theology. The concept of jinn is rooted in Islamic traditions and is mentioned in the Quran, which is the holy book of Islam. Jinn are believed to be created from smokeless fire, and they exist alongside humans and angels as one of the three sentient creatures of Allah. Jinn are typically invisible to humans. They inhabit the same world but exist in a parallel dimension that is beyond the normal human perception. While they can choose to remain unseen, there are accounts of instances where jinn have taken visible forms. Like humans, jinn possess free will and the ability to choose between right and wrong. Some jinn are believed to be good and follow the path of righteousness, while others may be evil and engage in harmful activities. They can shapeshift, possess humans, and influence their thoughts and actions. Some traditions also attribute the ability to grant wishes to jinn, similar to the concept of genies in popular Western folklore. Muslims also believe that certain verses from the Quran, along with specific prayers and rituals, can offer protection from harmful jinn. Islamic tradition categorizes jinn into different types, including Marid, which is rebellious and powerful, Ifrit, which is rebellious and cunning, and Sila, less powerful and often helpful. Phi Tai Hong. Phi Tai Hong is a term from Thai folklore and refers to a type of ghost or spirit in Thai mythology. The term can be translated to mean hungry ghost or starving ghost. These spirits are believed to be restless and tormented, often driven by unfulfilled desires or unattended matters from their earthly lives. While the appearance of Phi Tai Hong may vary in different stories, they are generally depicted as emaciated or skeletal figures. Phi Tai Hong are often associated with individuals who died under unfortunate or tragic circumstances, such as starvation or murder. The belief is that the unresolved issues from their lives lead to their restless existence as hungry ghosts. They're trapped in a state of perpetual hunger and dissatisfaction. They may wander in search of sustenance or attempt to communicate with the living to address their unmet needs. People may make offerings of food, money, or other items at shrines or places associated with these spirits. These offerings are meant to help provide comfort to the hungry ghosts and ease their suffering. The Hungry Ghost Festival, or Portor, is observed in some Southeast Asian countries, including Thailand, during the 7th month of the lunar calendar. This month is believed to be a time when spirits, including Phi Tai Hong, are released from the underworld and allowed to roam the human realm. Various ceremonies and offerings are made during this period to honor and appease the spirits. Shirime. The Shirime is a creature from Japanese folklore known for its distinctive and bizarre appearance. The creature is often featured in traditional ghost stories and legend. The term Shirime can be translated to mean buttock's eye or eye on the buttocks. The Shirime is described as a humanoid or ghostly figure with a completely featureless face, except for a single large eye located on its butt. The Shirime often appears in stories where it surprises or startles unsuspecting individuals, usually at night or in dark or isolated places. The creature reveals its distinctive eye by parting its buttocks, causing fear and shock in those who encounter it. Despite its bizarre appearance, the Shirime is not necessarily portrayed as a malevolent or harmful creature. Instead, its actions seem more aimed at shocking or surprising its victims. The encounter with the Shirime is meant to evoke a mix of fear and absurdity. Rangda. Rangda is a mythical and demonic figure in Balinese mythology, particularly within the traditions of the island of Bali in Indonesia. She is often considered a powerful and malevolent queen of witches, or a demon queen associated with dark or chaotic forces. Rangda plays a significant role in barong dance performances, a traditional Balinese dance that represents the eternal battle between good and evil. Rangda is typically depicted as a fierce and grotesque figure with long disheveled hair, large fanged teeth, and bulging eyes. She is portrayed as a formidable adversary embodying the forces of chaos and destruction. Despite her malevolent reputation, some Balinese communities view Rangda as a protective force. In certain rituals, the power of Rangda is invoked to ward off evil spirits or to counteract negative influences. Umi Bosu. In Japanese folklore, the Umi Bosu is a sea spirit or yokai that is often associated with the ocean or maritime activities. The term Umi Bosu can be translated to mean sea monk or sea Buddhist priest. The Umi Bosu is known for its eerie and mysterious nature and appears in various legends and stories. It's typically described as a giant humanoid figure with a smooth, featureless face. It's said to have a massive dark body that rises from the sea. Some accounts describe it as having a bald head or a hood-like covering. According to folklore, the Umi Bosu is known to appear suddenly in calm seas, creating storms and capsizing ships. Sailors who encounter it are believed to be in great danger, and the creature is said to capsize vessels and drown sailors. In some stories, it makes strange demands or requests of soldiers. For instance, it may ask for a barrel to fill with water, and if the sailors fail to comply, it may attack or capsize the ship. Some tales tell that it is a vengeful spirit, while others depict it as a malevolent entity that enjoys causing chaos and destruction at the sea. Due to the ominous reputation of the Umi Bosu, sailors would sometimes perform rituals or prayers to seek the protection from the creature before embarking on sea voyages. Oxhead and Horseface. Oxhead and Horseface, known as Nyotomamian in Chinese mythology, are two mythical creatures often associated with the afterlife and the underworld. They play roles as guardians or envoys of the underworld. particularly in Chinese folk religion and Taoist beliefs. They serve under Yama, the king of hell, and are responsible for maintaining order and overseeing the souls of the deceased. They have specific duties in the afterlife. They're tasked with escorting souls to the underworld, where the deceased undergo judgment for their actions during their earthly lives. Oxhead and Horseface ensure that the souls reach the appropriate realm based on their merits and demerits. Despite their fierce appearances, their roles are more akin to law enforcement in the afterlife rather than malevolent entities. Both Oxhead and Horseface play a role in determining the fate of the souls, whether they are to be reincarnated, sent to a specific realm, or face other consequences based on their actions in life. The worshippers may offer prayers and make offerings to the deities to seek protection for the deceased or to ensure a smooth passage for souls in the afterlife. Ifrit. The Ifrit is a powerful and malevolent supernatural creature in Islamic mythology and Middle Eastern folklore. Ifrits are a type of jinn, beings created from smokeless fire as we went over earlier, and they possess free will similar to humans. In Islamic tradition, jinn are one of the three creations of Allah alongside humans and angels. They are known for their strength, cunning, and rebellious nature. While some jinn are benevolent, Ifrits are often depicted as particularly malevolent. They are described as powerful and often wicked beings. They're associated with fire and believed to have the ability to shapeshift, turning into various forms. A transformation may include assuming a human appearance or appearing as smoke or fire. In some narratives, particularly in stories of Solomon's wisdom, there are accounts of powerful individuals or prophets using their knowledge and abilities to bind or control Ifrits for specific tasks. Shinigami. In Japanese folklore and popular culture, the Shinigami is a supernatural being or spirit that is often associated with death. The term Shinigami translates to death god or death spirit in English. Shinigami are commonly depicted as entities that guide souls to the afterlife or, in some cases, cause death. They are often portrayed as dark, grim figures with skeleton or skeletal-like appearances. They may wear traditional Japanese attire, such as a kimono or a cloak. In some representations, Shinigami are depicted carrying a scythe or other weapon, symbolizing their association with death and taking souls. While often linked to death, Shinigami are not necessarily malevolent beings. Some interpretations, they are neutral entities carrying out a natural and necessary function of the life cycle and death. One of the most well-known depictions of a Shinigami is Ryuk in the manga and anime series Death Note. In this series, Shinigami are depicted as supernatural beings who possess Death Notes, which allowed them to take human lives. Azreel. Azreel is an archangel in various religious traditions including Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. The name Azreel is often associated with the angel of death, or the angel who is responsible for separating the souls from the body at the time of death. Azreel's role is to extract the souls of the deceased from their bodies and guide them to the afterlife. They are depicted as a compassionate and merciful angel, understanding the significance of death in the broader spiritual journey. The name Azreel is not explicitly mentioned in the Hebrew Bible in the Old Testament. However, the concept of an angel of death is present in Jewish tradition. Some Jewish texts refer to an angel, often unnamed, who performs the task of separating the soul from the body. Azreel is sometimes mentioned with this angelic figure in various interpretations. Azreel is not a prominent figure in mainstream Christian theology, and the concept of an angel of death is not emphasized as it is in Islam. However, some Christian traditions and literature do mention angels associated with the process of death and the afterlife. Yanluo Wang. Yanluo Wang, also known as Yama, is a deity in Chinese mythology and folk religion who is commonly associated with the afterlife and the judgment of souls. The name Yanluo Wang can be translated to King Yangluo, with Yanluo being a title rather than a personal name. Yanluo Wang is often referred to as the King of Hell or the ruler of the underworld in Chinese mythology. He is believed to preside over the souls of the deceased and administer judgment based on their actions during their earthly lives. According to Chinese folklore, after death, souls are said to be brought before Yanluo Wang to undergo a judgment process. The deity reviews the deeds of the deceased, determining their fate in the afterlife. The souls may be rewarded or punished based on the merits and demerits of their actions. Yanluo Wang is depicted as a fearsome and imposing figure, reflecting his role as a deity of judgment. In artistic representations, he may be shown with a stern expression sitting on a throne and holding a register or book containing the records of individual lives. In Chinese mythology, Yanluo Wang is associated with the 10 kings of hell, each responsible for overseeing a specific realm or aspect of the afterlife. These kings collectively administer justice and determine the appropriate realm for the souls based on their moral conduct. The Sarat Bridge. The Sarat Bridge, also known as As-Sirat or Al-Sirat, is a symbolic and metaphysical bridge in Islamic eschatology. It is described as the narrow and perilous bridge that extends over the depths of hell and leads to paradise. The crossing of the Sarat Bridge is a significant event in Islamic belief about the Day of Judgment. It's believed to be a testing ground for individuals, and it serves as a passage that every soul must cross to reach its final destination. It's a razor-thin bridge that spans the chasm over hell, and it is said to be sharper than a sword and thinner than a hair. The Prophet Muhammad is reported to have described the difficulty of crossing the Sarat in various hadiths. The ability to successfully cross the Sarat depends on a person's deeds and faith during their earthly life. Those who lived righteous lives and followed the teachings of Islam are said to cross the Sarat swiftly and safely. However, those with sins and shortcomings may find the crossing more challenging. Malik. Malik is an Arabic term that means owner or king or sovereign. In an Islamic context, Malik is one of the names or attributes of Allah. It is often used to emphasize Allah's sovereignty, authority, and ownership over all things. Additionally, Malik is also one of the names of an angel in Islamic belief. Malik is described in the Quran as the keeper or guardian of hell, ensuring that its torment is administered according to divine justice. One of the significant references to Malik in the Quran is in Surah Al-Furqan 25:29. Quote, "Say, the dominion over the heavens and the earth belongs to Allah alone. He creates what He wills. He grants female offspring to whoever He wills and male offspring to whoever He wills. He gives them a mix of both males and females, and He makes whoever He wills barren. Surely He is all-knowing, all-powerful." End quote. This verse emphasizes Allah's absolute sovereignty over the heavens and the earth, using the term Malik to underscore His role as the supreme owner and ruler. Narakasura. Narakasura is a figure in Hindu mythology. He is the demon king who plays a significant role in Diwali festival, particularly in the South Indian states of Kerala, Karnataka, Tamil Nadu, and Andhra Pradesh. Narakasura is said to be the son of Bhudevi, who is Mother Earth, and Lord Varaha, one of the avatars or incarnations of the Lord Vishnu. Narakasura is described as a powerful and oppressive demon king who ruled the kingdom of Pragyotisha. He was known for his tyranny, cruelty, and misuse of his powers. According to the Puranas, Narakasura gained control of the Pragyotisha through force and intimidation, causing suffering to the people. Narakasura's story is intertwined with the legend of Lord Krishna. In one version of the story, Narakasura kidnaps the princess Satyabhama, who is later rescued by Lord Krishna. In retaliation, Lord Krishna confronts Narakasura and defeats him in battle. The battle between Lord Krishna and Narakasura is said to have taken place on the day before Diwali. Lord Krishna ultimately kills Narakasura, liberating the people from his oppressive rule. Before his death, Narakasura is granted a boon by Lord Brahma that he will die at the hands of a woman. This prophecy is fulfilled when Satyabhama, assisted by Lord Krishna, plays a crucial role in Narakasura's demise. Zachum. In Islamic tradition, Zachum refers to a tree described in the Quran, particularly in Surah As-Sifat 37:62-68. It is mentioned as a tree that grows in the depths of hell and serves as a form of punishment for the sinful. The relevant Quranic verses state, quote, "Is that paradise is a better accommodation or the tree of Zachum? Indeed, we have made it a torment for the wrongdoers. Indeed, it is a tree issuing from the bottom of the hellfire. And indeed, they will eat from it and fill with it their bellies. Then indeed, they will have after it a mixture of scalding water. Then indeed, their return will be to the hellfire." End quote. The tree of Zachum is depicted as having bitter, thorny fruits resembling the heads of devils. Those who have committed wrongdoing and are deemed of deserving punishment will be made to eat from the tree, along with a mixture of scalding water. This is presented as a form of torment for those who have transgressed. Nat. In Burmese folk religion, Nat refers to spirits or deities that are believed to inhabit the natural world, objects, and landscapes. The worship of Nats is an essential aspect of the Burmese culture, and it has deep historical and cultural roots. The term Nat is derived from the Pali word Natha, which means lord or protector. There are various types of Nats, each associated with specific places, natural elements, or attributes. Some Nats are believed to be the spirits of ancestors, while others are associated with mythological figures or historical personalities. The spirits of notable individuals who met tragic or untimely deaths are often venerated as Nats. Many Burmese households have spirit houses, small structures or shrines dedicated to Nats. These spirit houses are often adorned with such offerings as fruits, flowers, incense, and candles. The offerings are made to appease and honor the Nats, seeking their protection and blessings. Nat Kada are the individuals believed to have the ability to communicate with the Nats. During Nat ceremonies or rituals, Nat Kada may enter a trance-like state, allowing the Nat to possess them temporarily. This possession is considered a form of communication between the Nat and the human world. The Nat Pue is an annual festival held in various parts of Myanmar to honor and appease the Nats. The festival includes lively celebration with music, dance, and offerings. Nat Pue often involves the performance of traditional dances and rituals dedicated to specific Nats. Nats are believed to exist in a hierarchical structure, and some are believed to be more powerful and influential than others. There are higher-ranking Nats often associated with the royal courts or historical figures, as well as lesser-known and localized spirits. Baitul Ma'amur. Baitul Maqdis or Baitul Ma'amur refers to a sacred place in Islamic tradition. The name is often used interchangeably with two different locations. Baitul Maqdis in Israel, this refers to the Al-Aqsa Mosque and its surrounding precincts in Jerusalem. In Arabic, Baitul Maqdis means holy house or sacred house. Al-Aqsa Mosque is considered the third holiest site in Islam after the Kaaba in Mecca and the Prophet's Mosque in Medina. It holds significant religious and historical importance for Muslims. In Islamic cosmology, the Baitul Ma'amur also refers to a celestial or heavenly counterpart of the Kaaba. It is believed to be a sacred house in the heavens directly above the Kaaba on earth. According to Islamic tradition, the angels circumambulate Baitul Ma'amur, just as pilgrims circumambulate the Kaaba during the Hajj pilgrimage. Gabriel. In Christianity, Gabriel is an archangel with the power to announce God's will to humanity. He is mentioned in the Hebrew Bible, the New Testament, the Quran, and the Kitab-i-Aqdas. In the Hebrew Bible, Gabriel appears to the prophet Daniel to explain his visions in Daniel 8:15 through 26 and 9:21 through 27. The archangel also appears in the Book of Enoch and other ancient Jewish writings not preserved in Hebrew. Alongside the archangel Michael, Gabriel is described as the guardian angel of Israel, defending its people against the angels of other nations. In the New Testament, the Gospel of Luke relates the Annunciation, in which the angel Gabriel appears to Zechariah, foretelling the birth of John the Baptist, with the angel Gabriel foretelling the Virgin Mary the birth of Jesus Christ, respectively, in Luke 1:11 through 38. Islam regards Gabriel as an archangel sent by God to various prophets, including Muhammad. The first 5 verses of the Al-Alaq, the 96th chapter of the Quran, are believed by Muslims to have been the first verses revealed by Gabriel to Muhammad. Resurrection of Jesus. The resurrection of Jesus is the Christian belief that God raised Jesus from the dead on the 3rd day after his crucifixion, starting or restoring his exalted life as Christ and Lord. According to the New Testament writing, Jesus was the firstborn from the dead, ushering in the kingdom of God. He appeared to his disciples, calling the apostles to the great commission of forgiving sin and baptizing repenters, and ascended to heaven. Moksha. Moksha, also called Vimoksha, Vimukti, and Mukti, is a term in Hinduism, Buddhism, Jainism, and Sikhism for various forms of emancipation, liberation, nirvana, or release. In its soteriological and eschatological senses, it refers to freedom from samsara, the cycle of death and rebirth. In its epistemological and psychological senses, moksha is freedom from ignorance, self-realization, self-actualization, and self-knowledge. Israfil. Israfil is the angel who blows the trumpet to signal the Day of Judgment in Islam. Although unnamed in the Quran, he is one of the 4 archangels in Islamic tradition, along with Michael, Gabriel, and Azreel. The Book of the Dead described Israfil as the oldest of all archangels. He is commonly thought of as the counterpart of the Judeo-Christian archangel Raphael. Israfil writes with the pen the destiny of humans and all commands of God to the other archangels. With one wing, Israfil carries the pen, and with another wing, Israfil covers his face, being unable to look at God. Bearers of the Throne. In Islamic tradition, the bearers of the throne are 4 angels, Hamlat al-Arsh. These 4 angels are also held to be created from 4 different elements: light, fire, water, and mercy. In his commentary about Al-Aqidah al-Tahawiyah, Ibn Abi al-Iz has quoted a hadith regarding the physical size of the angel, which authored by Abu Dawud al-Sijistani. It is said they are so large that a journey from their earlobes to their shoulders would take 700 years. Day of Judgment. The Last Judgment, Final Judgment, Day of Reckoning, Day of Judgment, Judgment Day, Doomsday, Day of Resurrection, or Day of the Lord is a concept found across Abrahamic religions and the Prashakareti of Zoroastrianism. Christianity considers the second coming of Jesus Christ to entail the final judgment by God of all people who have ever lived, resulting in the approval of some and the penalizing of most. The concept is found in all the canonical Gospels, particularly in the Gospel of Matthew. The Christian tradition is also followed by Islam, where it is mentioned in many chapters of the Quran according to some interpretations. And that's all for this iceberg. Now for some honorable mentions before we end the iceberg. The Gerdon Light. The Gerdon Light is an atmospheric ghost light located near railroad tracks in a wooded area of Gerdon, Arkansas. It is the subject of local folklore and has been featured in local media and on Unsolved Mysteries and Mysteries at the Museum. The tracks are no longer in use, and the rails, at least partially, are removed and covered, but it remains one of the most popular Halloween attractions in the area. The light has been described as blue, green, white, or orange, and appearing to have a bobbing movement. According to folklore, the light is the swinging lantern of a ghost brakeman accidentally beheaded by a passing train, searching for his disembodied head. Another variation of the legend holds that the light is a lantern carried by the ghost of a worker killed in a fight with another railroad employee on the tracks. According to skeptical writer Brian Dunning, very similar folklore exists for a number of such ghost lights, and it's not likely headless brakemen can be a common occurrence. The light has been proposed to be the reflection of passing cars on Interstate 30. However, believers contend that there have been reports of the lights since the 1930s, while the interstate was not built until the 50s. Devil's Footprints. The Devil's Footprints was a phenomenon that occurred on February 1855 around the estuary in East and South Devon, England. After a heavy snowfall, trails of hoof-like marks appeared overnight in the snow, covering a total distance of some 40 to 100 miles. On the night of the 8th of February 1855 and 1 or 2 later nights, after a heavy snowfall, a series of hoof-like marks appeared in the snow. These footprints, most of which measured about 4 inches or 10 centimeters long, 3 inches and 7.6 centimeters across, between 8 and 16 inches or 20 and 41 centimeters apart, and mostly in single file, were reported from more than 30 locations across Devon and a couple in Dorset. It was estimated that the total distance of the tracks amounted to between 40 and 100 miles or 60 and 160 kilometers. Houses, rivers, haystacks, and other obstacles were traveled straight over. Footprints appeared on tops of snow-covered roofs and high walls which lay in the footprints' path, as well as leading up to and exiting drain pipes as small as 4 inches, 10 centimeters in diameter. The 26th of May 1855 issue of Bell's Life of Sydney published in its miscellaneous extracts column a weekly dispatch dated the 18th of February, quote, "It appears that on Thursday last night there was a very heavy snowfall in the neighborhood of Exeter and the south of Devon. On the following morning, the inhabitants of the above towns were surprised at the discovering of the footmarks of some strange and mysterious animal endowed with the power of ubiquity, as the footprints were seen in all kinds of unaccountable places, on the tops of houses and narrow walls, in gardens and courtyards, enclosed by high walls and palings, as well as in open fields. The superstitions go as far as to believe that they are marks of Satan himself, and that great excitement has been produced among all classes may be judged from the fact that the subject has been dissented on from the pulpit. The impressions of the foot closely resembled that of a donkey's shoe, and measured from 1.5 inches to, in some instances, 2.5 inches across. Here and there it appears as if cloven, but in the generality of the steps the shoe was continuous, and from the snow in the center remaining entire, merely showing the outer crest of the foot, it must have been concave." End quote. The area in which the prints appeared extended from Exmouth up to Topsham, and across the estuary to Dawlish and Teignmouth. R.H. Busk, and an article published in the Notes and Queries during 1890 stated that footprints also appeared further afield as far south as Totnes and Torquay, and that there were other reports of the prints as far away as Weymouth or Dorset, and even Lincolnshire. Bridgewater Triangle. The Bridgewater Triangle is an area of about 200 square miles or 520 square kilometers within southeastern Massachusetts in the United States, claimed to be a site of alleged paranormal phenomena ranging from UFOs to poltergeists and other spectral phenomena, various Bigfoot-like sightings, giant snakes, and thunderbirds. The term was coined by New England-based cryptozoologist Loren Coleman. The Freetown Fall River State Forest has reportedly been the site of various cult activities including animal sacrifice, ritualistic murders committed by admitted Satanists, as well as a number of gangland members and a number of suicides. The areas within the Bridgewater Triangle are as follows: the Freetown Fall River State Forest. The Freetown Fall River State Forest has reportedly been the site of various cult activity, including animal sacrifice, ritualistic murders committed by admitted Satanists, as well as a number of gangland murders. Profile Rock, the supposed site where the Wampanoag historical figure Anawan received the lost wampum belt from Philip. Legend has it that the ghost of a man can be seen sitting on the rock with his legs crossed or with outstretched arms, located within the Free Fall River State Forest. Solitude Stone, an inscribed stone located near Forest Street in West Bridgewater, was found near a missing person's body. The rock was found with the inscription, "All ye who in future days walk by Nantucket stream, love not him who hummed his lay cheerful to the parting beam, but the beauty that he wooed." Bridgewater State University. Several buildings and rooms on campus are alleged to be haunted by ghosts and other paranormal phenomena. Taunton State Hospital. Some visitors have claimed that they had strange paranormal experiences in the hospital, including being touched and pulled in by certain areas of the hospital. It is also claimed that the hospital was used by satanic cults during the 60s and 70s. Hornbeam School. The one-room schoolhouse was built during the 1840s and remained active in use until 1937. The building is alleged to be haunted by its former inhabitants. Common to most of these areas is a mix of reported phenomena that includes reports of unidentified flying objects, often in the form of bright balls of light and large unusual spacecraft, unnatural animal sightings ranging from unusual reports of animals that are not found within the area, such as panthers and bears, to more supernatural claims of giant snakes and enormous vicious dogs. Paranormal humanoids, including sightings of Bigfoot, ghosts, poltergeists, and shadow people. Thunderbird sightings, like giant birds or pterodactyl-like flying creatures with wingspans up to 12 feet, are claimed to have been seen in Hockomock Swamp, and neighboring Taunton and Easton, including a report by Norton Police Sergeant Thomas Downey. Cult activity, especially animal mutilations. Various incidents of animal mutilation have been reported, particularly in Freetown and Fall River, where local police were called to investigate mutilated animals believed to be the work of a cult. 2 specific incidents in 1998 were reported, one in which a single adult cow was found butchered in the woods, the other in which a group of calves were discovered in a clearing, grotesquely mutilated as if part of a ritual sacrifice. Native American curses. According to one tale, Native Americans had cursed the swamp centuries ago because of conflict with colonial settlers. A revered object of the Wampanoag people, a belt known as the Wampum Belt, was lost during King Philip's War. Legend says that the area owes its paranormal unrest to the fact that this belt was lost from the native people. And finally, Pukwudgie, a creature from Algonquin folklore. The local Wampanoag people consider these little people to be dangerous tricksters. They have been especially associated with the Freetown State Forest within the Bridgewater Triangle. Wekufe. In the Mapuche language, Mapudungun, the word Wekufe can be attributed to any person that lies or is deceptive. It was only after the arrival of Catholicism, when the Mapuche people had gained the concept of evil, that the word became associated with demons. Since that time, the idea behind Wekufe has broadened to include multiple meanings, either as a subject, quality, or agent depending on the speaker's reference point or the situation that it is used in. The word is generally used as a generic name in order to describe creatures from Mapuche mythology that usually have harmful intentions towards human beings. These creatures can have solid material bodies, evanescent ghost-like bodies, or be extracorporeal spirits-like entities. They project from or originate in the Wekufe's energy, which is characterized by its propensity to disturb the balance of the world's natural order. In this way, they cause illness, destruction, death, and other calamities amongst the Mapuche. Wekafes are often incorrectly likened to beings with similar characteristics as the Gaulichos, or the demons of Greek or other mythologies. The missionaries who followed the Spanish conquistadors to America interpreted the Mapuche beliefs regarding both Wekafes and Gaulichos in the context of their own religion. They used the word Wekafe as a synonym for the devil, demons, and other evil diabolical forces. Mapuche legends say that Wekafes come from Minchen Mapu, which is located to the west beyond Mapu, the Mapuche word for land, although in this instance it refers to the land described by the traditional Mapuche worldview. These beings originated from forces or energies that disturb or destroy the world's natural order. Unlike other living beings or spirits that possess their own soul, Wekafes are soulless. They entered the world as a consequence of the mythical battle against the Peelin spirits, which resulted in the breaking of Admapu, the system of rules that define the Mapuche behavior, and the destruction of the perfect harmony of the Winamapu, which is the world of goodness. This battle also disrupted the land of Minchen Mapu, allowing the Wekafes and the Laftraches, which has previously been confined there, to escape and roam the Mapu and live in the Magmapu, which is the world of evil, to the west of Mapu. The best known of the Wekafes are Troke Wekafe and Canilo, both of which are powerful Wekafes with the ability to change into solid form. Ectoplasm. In spiritualism, ectoplasm, also known simply as ecto, is a substance or spiritual energy exteriorized by physical mediums. It was coined in 1894 by physical researcher Charles Richet. Although the term is widespread in popular culture, there is no scientific evidence that ectoplasm exists, and many purported examples were exposed as hoaxes fashioned from cheesecloth, gauze, or other natural substances. The term comes from the ancient Greek words ektos, meaning outside, and plasma, meaning anything formed. In spiritualism, ectoplasm is said to be formed by physical mediums when in a trance state. This material is excreted as gauze-like substance from orifices on the medium's body, and spiritual entities are said to drape this substance over their non-physical body, enabling them to interact with the physical and real universe. Some accounts claim that ectoplasm begins clear and almost invisible, but darkens and becomes visible as the psychic energy becomes stronger. Still, other accounts state that in extreme cases, ectoplasm will develop a strong odor. According to some mediums, the ectoplasm cannot occur in light conditions, as the ectoplasmic substance would disintegrate. The physical researcher Gustave Gillet defined ectoplasm as being very variable in appearance, being sometimes vaporous, sometimes a plastic paste, and sometimes a bundle of fine threads or a membrane with swellings or fringes, or a fine fabric-like tissue. Arthur Conan Doyle described ectoplasm as a viscous, gelatinous substance, which appeared to differ from every known form of matter in that it could solidify and be used for material purposes. The physical existence of ectoplasm has not been scientifically demonstrated, and the tested samples purported to be ectoplasm have been found to be various non-paranormal substances. Necromancy. Necromancy is the practice of magic involving communication with the dead by summoning their spirits as apparitions or visions for the purpose of divination, imparting the means to foretell future events and discover hidden knowledge. Sometimes categorized under death magic, the term is occasionally used in a more general sense to refer to black magic or witchcraft as a whole. Early necromancy was related to and most likely evolved from forms of shamanism or prehistoric ritual magic that calls upon spirits such as the ghosts of deceased forebears. Classical necromancers address the dead in a mixture of high-pitched squeaking and low droning, comparable to the trance state mutterings of shamans. Necromancy was prevalent throughout antiquity, with records of its practice in ancient Egypt, Babylonia, Greece, ancient Etruria, Rome, and China. In his Geographica, Strabo refers to necromantia, or diviners by the dead, as the foremost practitioners of divination among the people of Persia, and is believed to have also been widespread among the peoples in Chaldea, particularly the Hermeticists, or star worshippers, and in Babylonia. The Babylonian necromancers were called Manzazu, or Sha'edemu, and the spirits they were raised were called Edemu. Traditional Chinese folk religion involves necromancy in seeking blessing from dead ancestors through ritual displays of filial piety. The oldest literary account of necromancy is found in Homer's Odyssey. Under the direction of Circe, a powerful sorceress, Odysseus travels to the underworld, or Catabasis, in order to gain insight about his impending voyage home by raising the spirits of the dead through the use of spells which Circe has taught him. He wishes to invoke and question the shade of Tiresias in particular. However, he is unable to summon the seer's spirit without the assistance of others. The Odyssey's passages contain many descriptive references to necromantic rituals. Rites must be performed around a pit with fire during nocturnal hours, and Odysseus has to follow a specific recipe, which includes the blood of sacrificial animals to concoct a libation for the ghosts to drink while he recites prayers to both the ghosts and the gods of the underworld. Practices such as these, varying from the mundane to the grotesque, were commonly associated with necromancy. Rituals could be quite elaborate, involving magic circles, wands, talismans, and incantations. The necromancer might also surround himself with morbid aspects of death, which often included wearing the deceased clothing and consuming foods that symbolized lifelessness and decay, such as unleavened black bread and unfermented grape juice. Some necromancers even went so far as to take part in the mutilation and consumption of corpses. These ceremonies could carry on for hours, days, or even weeks, leading up to the eventual summoning of spirits. Frequently, they were performed in places of interment and other melancholy venues that suited specific guidelines of the necromancer. Additionally, necromancers preferred to summon the recently departed based on the premise that their revelations were spoken more clearly. This time frame was usually limited to the 12 months following the death of the physical body. Once this period elapsed, necromancers would evoke the deceased ghostly spirit instead. Hellhounds. A hellhound is a mythological hound that embodies a guardian or a servant of hell, the devil, or the underworld. Hellhounds occur in mythologies around the world, with the best-known examples being Cerberus from the Greek mythology, Garmr from Norse mythology, the black dogs of English folklore, and the fairy hounds of Celtic mythology. Physical characteristics may vary, but they are commonly black, anomalously overgrown, supernaturally strong, and often have red eyes or are accompanied by flames. Old Red Eyes, or the Beast of Flanders, was a demon reported in Flanders, Belgium in the 18th century who would take the form of a large black hound with fiery red eyes. In Wallonia, the southern region of Belgium, folktales mention the chained hound in Walloon, a hellhound with a long chain that was thought to roam the fields at night. Numerous sightings of hellhounds persist throughout the Czech lands. In France in 856 AD, a black dog was said to materialize in a church even though the doors were shut. The church grew dark as it padded up and down the aisle as if it was looking for someone. The dog then vanished as suddenly as it had appeared. On mainland Normandy, the Rongeur d'Os wanders the streets of Bayeux on winter nights as a phantom dog, gnawing on bones and dragging chains along with it. In Lower Brittany, there were stories of a ghost ship crewed by the souls of criminals with hellhounds set to guard them and inflict on them 1,000 tortures. In Germany, it is believed that the devil would appear as a black hound, especially on Walpurgisnacht. In Greek mythology, Cerberus, often referred to as the Hound of Hades, is a multi-headed dog that guards the gates of the underworld to prevent the dead from leaving. He was the offspring of the monsters Echidna and Typhon, and was usually described as having 3 heads, a serpent for a tail, and snakes protruding from multiple parts of his body. In Norse mythology, Garmr or Garm, which is Old Norse for rag, is a wolf or dog associated with both the goddess Hel and Ragnarok, and described as a blood-stained guardian of Hel's Gate. In Catalan myth, Dip is an evil, black, hairy hound, an emissary of the devil who sucks people's blood. Like other figures associated with demons in Catalan myth, he is lame on one leg. In Galicia, the Urco was a giant black hound that led Santa Campagna, a version of the Wild Hunt. In religious beliefs of the Gaunch people of the Canary Islands, the Tibecanas were the canine offspring or attendants of the malevolent volcano deity Gayoda. The hellhound myth is common across Great Britain in the form of black dogs of English folklore. The earliest written record of the hellhound is the 11th and 12th century Peterborough version of the Anglo-Saxon Chronicle, which speaks of a wild hunt through the forest between Peterborough and Stamford. Black hellhounds with fiery eyes are reported throughout Latin America from Mexico to Argentina under a variety of names, including Perro Negro, Nahal, Huaychivo, and Huaypec. They are said to be either incarnations of the devil or a shape-shifting sorcerer. The legend of the hellhound has persisted in Meriden, Connecticut since the 19th century. The dog is said to haunt the Hanging Hills, a series of rock ridges and gorges that serve as a popular recreation area that can also be known as a protector of the supernatural. The first non-local account came from W.H.C. Piken in the Connecticut Quarterly, in which it is described as a death omen. It is said, if you meet the black dog once, it shall be for joy. If twice, it shall be for sorrow, and the third time shall bring death. Additionally, the term is common in American blues music, such as in Robert Johnson's 1937 song Hellhound on My Trail. The Hodo is a legendary creature originating within the minorities of southern China. It is described as having the appearance of a large black dog that can emit flames from its mouth. Fire would break out wherever the Hodo went, so the ancients saw it as a sign of fire and often an ominous symbol. It is probably a demonized tribal symbol of southern China. And finally, in Japanese folklore, the Okuri Inu, which is Japanese for escorting dog, is a yokai that resembles a dog. The Okuri Inu closely stalks and follows people walking along mountain paths in the nighttime. If a person falls over by chance, they will immediately be eaten up, but if they pretend to be having a short rest, they will not be attacked. Alright, and that's it for this iceberg. At the end there, we almost went into cryptid territory, but that's definitely going to be reserved for another iceberg. The next iceberg is going to be the Minecraft iceberg, and that one's going to be a long one. It's going to be about 3 hours. So I'm going to release that in parts. I'm trying to get an hour-long video out at about every 3 days or so. So I'm back. I'm here to stay. I'm here to stay. And put your iceberg requests in the comments. I want to cover icebergs that you guys want to hear covered. So let me know, and I'll see you guys in the next one.